this video, I'm going to show you guys how to cut your pieces off of your sprue tree and clean it up. I also have stones to set in two different pieces. One of them are going to be a grain setting and the other is going to be a flush setting. So we're going to do that. We're also going to set a stone in a different ring. It's in a different setting. I made this ring from wire and sheet, so I didn't cast this one. It's going to be a little turquoise piece in here. This is a ring that I have on my website. I've had this one on my website for a long time, long before I started casting, but I got to set the stone for this one. And then we're going to package all of these up because I have to send these out tomorrow. So yeah, it's going to be a long day, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be some new things. I don't think that I've ever shown you guys my packaging, so I can also tell you where I got all of those things. But this flask is not hot. I cast this last night. I did cast a stone in place in here. So whenever you cast a stone in place, you can't quench it or you will thermal shock your stone and crack it. So I let it sit all night long and cool. The pour went well. Everything went well. I'm just hoping that the stone is nice and protected. It looks like it made a full fill. You can see the button of silver. Let's break this open and see how those castings came out, and then we'll get to work on setting the stones. I've never opened this up this way. I've only ever opened it when they're hot and they just bust open, but you can see the hot print that the jewelry made. I'm definitely going to go clean these up with my little jewelry toothbrush. I set aside a Colgate toothbrush to clean my work when I need to. So these are necklaces. This one's a necklace, necklace, necklace. And then the ring, which is the same one that's on my thumb. This one was the first time I had ever cast a stone in place, and I made a huge mistake and I quenched it right after pouring the metal in, and I cracked the inside of the stone. So the outside of the stone isn't cracked, but the inside has a little fissure in it, and this one does not because I did not quench the flask. It looks perfect. So I'm gonna go clean these up and I will be right back. So I washed these with just soap and an old toothbrush to get as much investment off as I could. So I'm gonna put these in the pickle pot so that I can clean them and get them nice and white. And while these are in the pickle pot, we're gonna set the stone on the other ring. I do wanna mention that this is the best casting I've ever had. This is the most pieces I've ever cast at one time that they all came out perfectly. And I did change one thing last night, and I'm pretty sure this is the fix for me. I've had more than a few casts that some of the pieces didn't fill, and maybe they the whole thing filled, but only half of the bale filled. I cannot say filled. Only half of the bale filled. And so my castings have been, hit or miss. So I turned up the temperature of my silver when I poured last night. Instead of pouring at 1,000 degrees, I poured at 1,025 degrees. I had it set for 1,030, but I ended up pouring at 1,025. And I noticed just even when pouring it, it was so much more fluid than it normally is. A lot of the times it kind of rolls out as more of a glob, but this time it was kind of like water. I was worried that it was going to be too hot, but I think that 1,000 degrees is your typical pouring temperature, but I personally pour really slowly because I've missed more than one time and I'm terrified of pouring metal all over my desk again. So I know that about myself, that I pour slowly now so that I can make sure I don't miss. And I think that 25-degree difference at least just bought me the time that I needed to focus and pour. And this came out so well. I don't see any porosity on these castings. Just really happy with how this came out. So if you are having castings that aren't filling properly, or you have porosity, because I have had porosity in the past with some of these pieces, try turning up your temperature of your silver. So I did 1,024, I think it was Celsius. I don't do temperatures in my head in Celsius, but a lot of my tools are in Celsius. So my 2-auto furnace is in Celsius. I set it for 1,024 degrees. My kiln, once my kiln has been at 1,000 degrees for at least 45 minutes to an hour, then I'm ready to pour. So kiln at 1,000 degrees for 45 minutes to an hour. I put it in my vacuum chamber, and then I make my metal 1,024 degrees, which is what I'm gonna do from now on, and then I pour. I hope that can help you guys. I hope that this is like solid fix for me now. Nothing sucks more than like pouring and only half of your piece is filling and then you have to start all over. So, all right, let's set this stone. I wonder if I should put my lamp over here, since there's like a shadow right here and all the light's coming from this side. I think I might do that. Maybe I could put this over there and then put a small lamp over there. I like that big lamp in the corner. Put a mirror here, and that way it reflects light back. Then I already have a mirror back there. We'll deal with the light later. Okay, so we are going to clean up this ring and set this stone. I'd like to get this one out of the way before I start working on the others because I need something to do while those sit in the pickle pot and I don't want to waste my time. So I'm going to start sanding and polishing this ring, and then I'll zoom you in closer to set the stone. This ring is a little bit tricky because I can't put it in my vise, my GRS vise, because it's got these two bands and it'll squeeze them and bend them. So honestly, with this ring, I usually just put it on my finger and I put the stone in and I set it just holding it by hand. I made this one using wire bezel strips, so it's pretty thin and easier to push over, so I don't need to like apply as much pressure as I do whenever I put pieces in my GRS, the vice grip. So okay, so I just finished polishing this ring and it's time to set the turquoise. I'm gonna zoom you guys in so you can see what I'm doing. These are looking a lot cleaner than what they looked like when we first took them out of the flask. They're ready to be cut up and cleaned up. Okay, so when it comes time to cut off each piece from the sprue tree, I either use my flush cutters, and I use like hefty flush cutters. You can buy sprue cutters on Rio Grande or any other jewelry website, but they're gonna charge you a lot more than if you just got some from your typical hardware store. So any flush cutters that are like big, or you can use your saw frame. I use a really thick blade whenever I do this. I think I'm gonna use my blade for a lot of these because I put them really close together, so the sprue pieces are kind of fat and also a little too close together where I feel like I could end up marking the jewelry with these. So I'm gonna end up cutting most of these off with the blade. The metal where it was attached is raised kind of high, and if I use my other sanding wheels on that, then it's gonna grind them down too quickly. So this little sandpaper wheel is really, really rough, and it'll take it down a lot faster and just save my radial discs from being eaten up. about cleaning up pieces that have been cast is that sometimes it's hard to get the investment out of like the little nooks and crannies. And so I use these little diamond, I think they're like, I don't know what they're called. I'll put the name of them up on the screen, but they're little diamond bits and they come with all different shapes and sizes. So some of them are really round, some of them are super pointy. You attach them to your pendant motor and then you can get in the really, really fine places. This necklace in particular has a bunch of these tiny little lines on it, and then also the inside setting of the stone. I can't get in those little nooks and crannies with my radial discs, so I'm going to use that little bit to get into those lines and into that setting and dig out that investment and expose the silver. Love to get like professionally made earring card one day. That's the one thing that I really haven't like outsourced when it comes to my packaging supplies. All of my earring cards I've cut and dyed myself and then embossed them with my logo. I would love to have some professionally made. I just haven't done that yet, but I'm sure it's coming. These are my ring boxes. They have my logo embossed in gold. I'm pretty sure I get these from Westpac. If it's not Westpac, I'll put it, next to me and I'll link them, but they're honestly not super expensive to have made and they look very professional. Definitely worth it in my opinion. So all of my stickers, tape, and thank you card and poly mailers, I get all of these from Sticker Mule and they're really good quality. They're pretty affordable and it's a nice like one-stop shop. So that was everything for today. It is 10:37 and it's time for me to go to bed because I have to go to work in the morning. I feel like it was a really, really productive day. Everything went really well. I always get really nervous when it comes to setting stones, and we set a lot today and nothing cracked. I hope you guys enjoyed this studio vlog, and I will see you next week. Bye guys.